in New York, my home state, in Washington, D.C., place where you spend a lot of time, where I spend a lot of time too. These are sanctuary cities. These are places that say we are open to immigrants, specifically illegal immigrants, no borders, no people are illegal, come here. And so then the governor of your state, Senator, decided to take them up on their offer. And he said, okay, we've got historic numbers of illegal aliens pouring across the border, probably going to be more than 2 million this year. And so that's fine. If you want to take them New York, you want to take them D.C., put them on a bus for free. The governor's paying for it and ships them up to New York. The mayors of New York and D.C. are absolutely losing their minds over it. They're saying this is terrible. They're saying this puts a strain on the resources of these cities. It's a horrific thing to do. And I thought, hold on, wait a minute. I was previously told by these very same mayors and politicians that illegal immigration is a net contributor to our economy, and it's really great, and it's really wonderful, and it doesn't put a stress on any of our resources, and it doesn't bring crime or anything else. But now they're saying not in my backyard, that illegal immigration is really great in the Republican states. It's not good in the blue cities that encourage it.
I got to say, this story reveals, as you said, the fear and ignorance and the absolute hypocrisy of the left. So the mayors of both D.C. and New York have been holding press conferences, hysterical press conferences. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, has said that the 6,000 illegal immigrants that Texas has put on buses and sent up to D.C. has created a crisis, and it is unacceptable and it has to stop. Now, that's just 6,000. Since Joe Biden has become president, 3.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed the border. We have towns in South Texas that have seen massive hundreds of thousands, millions of people coming through. She says 6,000 is a crisis. I publicly urge the governor, if she thinks 6,000 is a crisis, we ought to send 600,000.
Yeah.
600,000 would be roughly 1/6 of the number of illegal immigrants who have come in under Joe Biden. And by the way, if she doesn't like it, she is a member of a party, the Democrat Party. The person responsible for these $3.5 million lives in her city in Washington, D.C. I can give her his address at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. His name is Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He made a political decision to let 3.5 million illegal immigrants in. His view was Texas, if it destroys communities in red states, that's great. Eventually, these folks will vote Democrat, he believes. So let there be lots of suffering and misery and poverty. Let there be children sexually assaulted. Let there be women trapped in sex slavery. Let there be horrific abuse and disease and crime. All of that because politics is worth it. If she wants to fix it, the leader of her party can fix it anytime he damn well wants by simply choosing to follow the law. Now, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, in some ways is even funnier. He's done these hysterical press conferences, losing his mind, saying, please stop sending illegal immigrants to New York. And he's threatened. He said, I'm going to send busloads of New Yorkers to go to Texas to campaign against Greg Abbott for governor. Now, I have to admit, I did have some great joy responding and said, well, actually, to be fair, there are already thousands of busloads of New Yorkers fleeing New York and coming to Texas, and Eric Adams is driving them away. Now, they're coming to Texas because we're an oasis of freedom, and New York is run by left-wing numbnuts who are trying to recreate the hellscape of the 70s.
Yep.
It's like Escape from New York. Snake Plissken is going to have to sneak in and break people out of New York to go to paradises like Texas or Florida. But secondly, you got to say, Eric Adams, I think he might be slightly off in his assessment of the politics of Texas because he thinks a bunch of left-wing New York Democrats coming down to Texas saying, hi, we're New Yorkers, please vote against your Republican governor, that is somehow going to cause Texans to go, oh, okay, we want our state to suck as much as you've screwed your city up, so let's do that. It is absurd, and here's a final point.
Yep.
I'm very glad Greg Abbott is doing it. It's the right thing to do. He ought to accelerate it massively. As you know, Abbott and I are good friends. I worked for him 5.5 years. I had urged him to do this, and in fact, I filed legislation that said we shouldn't just ship them to New York and D.C. We ought to ship illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. We ought to ship them to
Southampton.
Nantucket.
Right.
We ought to ship them to Southampton. We ought to ship them to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where Biden vacations. We ought to ship them to Cupertino, California. Every place that rich liberals sit and swirl Chardonnay, they ought to sit there and watch busload after busload after busload of illegal immigrants unloading. And by the way, the Martha's Vineyard mayor like publicly engaged me and said, "Oh, we would love that. We would welcome it." Really?
Calling my bet. Don't play chicken, Mayor.
6,000. Let's just start with the 6,000 that went to Washington, D.C. It reveals the utter hypocrisy of the left. They're willing to cause human suffering as long as it doesn't impinge on the view from their golf course.